Mike, Mike,
Oui, je suis là.
je
Euh,
crois qu'on peut commencer, hein. Les gens vont peut-être nous rejoindre après. Ils sont en train de rejoindre petit à petit.
ok. Bonjour à tous. Euh,
Hello everyone,
Bienvenue à cette
welcome
session
to
de
this session,
formation
training session
sur la communication
on
qui a pour
communication,
thème central la communication, pilier
which is
fondamental du succès des
communication
organisations
is
paysannes.
a key
Nous
pillar for
sommes
the success of
parvenus
a farm
à la troisième
organization.
session, dont la
So this is the
dernière
third
organisée
session
par Propac
with the last one being organized by
sur ce
Propaka
thème-là.
on this
Et elle va
particular
porter sur
theme,
le réseautage.
and we're going to talk about networking.
On va explorer ensemble la
We're going
mise en
to
réseau
talk about it together,
des organisations
how
de producteurs, des organisations
networking
paysannes.
within farmer
Et
organizations
je
can
voudrais
be
rappeler,
done.
comme
I want to
l'autre
remind us that
session, que
just
elle se
like in the
tient dans
last
le
session,
cadre du programme de renforcement
that
des
we are doing
capacités
this
des
within the
organisations
program of
paysannes.
capacity building for farm
C'est,
organizations,
Elle est mise
which
en
is
œuvre par
implemented by
PAFO en
PAFO in
collaboration avec
collaboration
les
with the
organisations
farmer
paysannes
organizations,
régionales
which are
membres,
members of PAFO,
avec
with the
l'appui de
support
l'International
of
Andreas
the
Hermes
international
Academy,
Andreas Hemet,
qui est une
which
institution
is
engagée dans le domaine de
an
l'agriculture,
institution which works in the area
ainsi
of
que le
agriculture,
développement des
as
espaces
well as the
ruraux.
development of rural
On sait tous que
setting.
les
We
organisations
know
paysannes jouent un rôle essentiel dans le développement rural et la sécurité alimentaire de notre continent. Elles sont, l'excellence, les porte-parole et les représentants des millions de petits producteurs agricoles qui nourrissent nos populations. Pour assumer pleinement leurs missions et leurs responsabilités, les organisations paysannes ont donc besoin de renforcer leurs capacités dans divers domaines, et notamment le réseautage. Au cours de cette session, nous allons explorer ensemble l'importance pour les organisations paysannes de se mettre en réseau et au mieux de développer encore
better
plus les
developer.
réseaux qui existent.
You make use
Donc,
of
on va dire que cette
the links
session
that
va se
exist.
dérouler pendant
So I
deux
was
heures.
told that
Et elle sera animée par moi-même, Mike ATANGANA, et puis Don MINGOLE de la Concertation nationale des organisations paysannes du Congo, membre de la PROPAC, puis Ella du CNCPRT du Tchad.
here
C'est une session qui se veut
this session we would want it to be participatory and
nous
interactive,
souhaitons
where we would
favoriser
wish
l'échange
to encourage
et surtout le partage d'expériences
discussions on
entre les
sharing experiences
participants.
between the
Et
participants,
puis, les travaux de
and
groupe vont nous
also have
permettre de
group
réfléchir
work
ensemble
that will help us to reflect together
sur
on
certains aspects
certain aspects
du réseautage.
of our
Je
networking.
vous remercie pour
And
votre
I
présence
thank
et
you
votre
for your
implication.
presence and
Et
for your
je vous
involvement.
souhaite,
And I wish you,
mes collègues et moi, nous vous
colleagues,
souhaitons une bonne session de formation.
we wish that you'll enjoy the session.
Sans attendre, je vais
And without
partager avec vous
a
la
further
liberté
waiting, I'm going to share
de
with
partager les
you
règles qui vont
the
prévaloir
rules
tout au long de
that
la
we're
formation.
going to follow during the training
Pour nous permettre d'avoir
that we are able to
euh, une formation, une session fluide.
have a well-flowing session.
Allô?
Hello, Zuberi, can you share the rules?
Je peux faire le partage moi-même si Zouberi n'est pas prêt.
Let me try to share it, Zuberi can.
Allô? Est-ce que vous avez accès à mon écran?
Can you see my screen?
Donc, tout au long de la formation,
During the training,
nous allons vous inviter à fermer vos
we're
micros
going to invite you
lorsque
to close your mics
un participant, lorsque
Because when you're
participants parlent.
participating, when other participants are
Si
speaking,
possible, laissez la caméra
it is
allumée
possible
et vous
to
pouvez utiliser à tout moment
have
le chat.
disturbances. So you can
Faites
use the
passer
chat
vos messages.
if you have
Envoie les
messages that
messages
you
que vous
would
y
want
avez.
to
Vous allez
share.
écrire sur
You can
avez la
write it,
possibilité
write the message.
de
So you have the
sélectionner
possibility
la langue de votre choix,
of
en anglais
selecting
ou
the
français.
language of your choice.
Au-dessus,
Then
vous avez la vue de l'intervenant.
you can see
Vous
the
pouvez lever
view
la
of
main
the
pour annoncer
speaker.
que vous voulez intervenir,
You
poser
can
une question.
raise your hand if you want to ask a question.
Ce sont là les règles que
Those are the
nous
rules
vous invitons à
that
observer pendant
we invite you to
cette
follow
session.
during this
Merci.
session. Thank you.
Par la suite,
Okay, so now to
je vais
continue,
passer,
I'm going to give the floor to,
nous allons passer à la présentation des
now we go to
participants.
the
Ça va se faire comme à la
the
coutume.
introduction of participants.
Par réseau,
So we're going to do it by network, do it usually.
nous allons procéder à la présentation
So
des participants par
we're going to have we introduce the
je vais
participants
commencer par
by network.
appeler
So
lorsqu'on
when we mention your
la
organization, your network, please open your camera so that we can see you. We start with the EAFF. EAF.
Allô?
Hello.
Si vous faites partie de
EAF, if you're a member of EAF, please open your camera.
de IF, vous pouvez allumer votre caméra, s'il vous plaît.
EAF, can you open your cameras, members of EAF?
Allô?
Hello.
Je pense qu'ils ne sont pas là, Mike. Donc, tu
Ils
passes.
sont pas là. OK.
I think they're not there, Mike.
Nous allons passer à
We are there. And I've opened the camera. EF is there.
OK. Bonjour à toi, Judith.
Hello, Judith. How are
Bonjour.
you?
Bonjour. Comment allez-vous?
Je vais bien, merci. Je vais appeler Umnagri.
So now we go to Umnagri. Umnagri, can you open your camera? Umnagri?
S'il vous plaît. Umnagri est présent. Bonjour, Raja.
Umnagri. Raja, how are you?
Bonjour, Mohamed.
How are you, Mohamed?
Bonjour Mike, ça va, vous allez bien?
Je vais bien. Merci
Hello,
de
Mohamed.
participer à cette session.
Thank you for
Merci à vous.
participating in this session.
OK, merci. Je vais appeler l'Europa.
So now we go to Ropa. If Ropa is there, Ropa.
Bonjour, Imelda.
Hello, Imelda.
Ça va et toi-même? Ton sourire m'a manqué ces derniers temps.
I am missing your smile. So I'm happy to see you now.
OK, merci.
Thank you.
Nous appelons la Propac.
We now call Propac. Members of Propac. Please open your cameras.
Bonjour, Serge.
Hello, Serge.
Ravi de te retrouver pendant notre session.
I'm happy to see you during this session.
OK, j'ai appelé tout le monde. Don,
I have invited on. Have I forgotten a network?
Bonjour, bonjour Mike.
Hello, Mike. Hello, Mike. Hello, Serge.
Je pense qu'il y a donc Céleste.
Ah,
Vous avez oublié le repas, Mike.
Il faut
non,
prendre rope.
j'ai appelé le repas déjà. Mais
Ah, d'accord.
Yes, I have called Ropa.
Bonjour à tout le monde.
Hello, everyone.
Sakao, je pense Sakao, non?
Sakao.
Exactement, merci Mohamed.
Sakao. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank
Je vais demander donc
Thank you, Mohammed.
aux membres de Sakao
So
d'ouvrir vos caméras,
we
s'il vous
request the
plaît.
members of Sakao. Our members, please open your cameras.
Ils sont pas là.
They are not there.
Sakao,
Sakao.
ouvrez vos caméras, s'il vous plaît, Sakao.
Please open your cameras, members of Sakao.
Apparemment, ils sont pas là.
Okay,
Ou
I
après,
think they are not
ils
there.
sont pas devant leur caméra.
Or maybe they are not near their cameras.
Au terme de cette présentation, je vais passer la
So
parole à
during this
INSAF
presentation,
pour le
I
mot
now
de
give the floor to INSAF
bienvenue de la PAFO.
so that he
INSAF,
give a welcome word from PAFO. INSAF, you have the floor.
allô?
Oui, oui, je vous entends.
Ok.
Yes, I can hear you.
Merci beaucoup, Mike.
Thanks
Je
a
vais
lot,
être
Mike. I'm
bref
going to be
pour gagner du temps sur l'essentiel.
going
Je
to be
voudrais
brief so that we can.
remercier tous ceux qui sont là
I want to thank
et
everyone who's
remercier
here
la Propac
and
pour
thank
l'organisation de cette
Propac for
troisième
organizing this
et dernière
third
session dans la
and
thématique de
last
la
session
communication.
on the
Rappelez
theme
que le
of
thème du
communication,
réseautage est très important pour
reminding
les
you that the
organisations
topic
paysannes
of
parce
network
que
is
ça
very
permet,
important
ça
for
augmente
farmer organizations because it helps
la
them to
notoriété des
increase
organisations
their
paysannes et ça leur permet
the
aussi
interactions. It also
de
helps
mobiliser
them
de
to
l'argent grâce à cette
mobilize the funds, and
qu'on met
that's
en place
why
avec
with this
AHA
platform that we
International
have put in place
et le
with
soutien
AHA
de
International and the
du
support
ministère
of
fédéral de
the,
l'économie allemande.
the Federal
Je pense
Ministry of
que ceci
Economy
favorise
in
les
Germany.
échanges et la collaboration
This encourages
entre les
us to
organisations
exchange,
paysannes et
to collaborate
les
between
partenaires.
farm
Et
organizations
le
and
réseautage
partners.
permet à nos
And
opérateurs
networking
aussi non
helps our
seulement
farm
d'accéder à de
organizations to
nouvelles
have more
ressources,
influence, to
de
have access
partager de
to new
bonnes
resources, to
pratiques
share
et d'améliorer
good
leur impact
practices
sur
and to
les
improve
communautés.
their
Donc, au nom
impact
de la
on the
PAFO, encore une
communities.
fois, et de
On
l'équipe
behalf of
organisatrice,
PAFO,
la PROPAC, je
again,
vous souhaite
and
une
for the
rencontre connue
organizing
de
team from
succès
PAPAC,
et je
I
me
wish
réjouis
you
des
success
résultats que
during
nous
these sessions,
accomplirons ensemble.
and
Je vous remercie.
I'm happy for the results that we're going to see together,
Merci, Mike.
going to obtain
Merci,
together. Thank you.
merci à toi, INSAF.
Thank
Tout de
you.
suite,
Thank you, Insaf.
je vais passer la
Right
parole
away, I'm going to give the floor
à
to
Don
Don
Mingole
Mingole, so
poursuivre
that he
avec
can
l'animation sur
continue with the
les cas de
moderation
réussite
for
les cas de réussite d'impact de la mise en réseau
the
des
cases of
organisations paysannes.
success in terms of
Céleste,
impact
je te passe le
for
micro.
networking in farmers organizations. So
Oui,
Celeste, you
merci
have the
beaucoup,
mic.
Mike, de
Thank
m'avoir
you,
passé le
Mike,
micro.
for giving me the mic.
Et nous allons commencer
Going to
avec
start
notre
with
opportunité de
our
série de notre programme.
opportunity for
Nous
the
allons
series in
parler
our program. So we're going to talk
d'impact
about
de la mise en réseau,
the success stories
présentation d'études de
within
cas
the
pour montrer quels
networking.
sont l'impact
We
de la
present
mise en réseau
specific
sur des
cases
stratégies
and also talk about
politiques
strategies,
réussies.
and
En
policies
ce
that
qui
have been
concerne ce
successful.
thème,
In
nous allons
terms of this
d'abord
theme, we're going to start
nous allons
with the
d'abord
giving.
parler de l'impact
We're going to
de la
talk
mise
about
en
the
réseau.
impact
Et d'abord,
in
voulons savoir c'est quoi
networking.
la mise en réseau.
And we're going to
La
ask
mise
ourselves,
en
what is
réseau est un
networking?
ensemble d'éléments
Networking
ou de
is
telles actions qui
elements
fonctionnent
that you put
ensemble.
together
Et
so
donc,
that you can work
l'impact de la
in
mise en
unison. And the impact of networking, we'll give the floor to the person who would want to take it, but we would want to know what is the positive impact of networking with our farm organizations. What does it target? So concretely, when we talk about the important impact of networking and for strategies and policies that have been successful, we're going to talk together and who can take the floor and to tell us about networking. So anyone who wants to take the floor. No, I think I'll be explicit. I can take the example of Congo Brazzaville. There are farm organizations which have come up in groups, in clusters. And when they get in these clusters, they have received support. There are those who are, for example, in the processing, agro processing. So they have formed these clusters. where they can preserve their, so they get the freezing equipment so that they can put their fruits there, and they are together in this work. So what is well, the thing what we notice is that these cold rooms that they have, everyone can come and put their products there. So their networking helps them to put their products in the cold rooms together. And hear you. And hear him. I think we have lost Celeste. He has lost his connection. So he was telling us about the importance of networking for farm organizations. Because we are here in a session, interactive session, he was giving the floor to anyone who would want to talk about their experiences in terms of networking. Anyone who has an experience in this? If you would want to talk about your experiences in terms of networking. And so that you can also share with the members and the participants. Hello, sorry, I had a connection problem. So you can take over again the floor. Thank you. So I was saying that we are going to talk about the success stories in terms of network. We're going to present specific cases and illustrate the impact of networking, especially in terms of strategies that have been successful. So we'll talk about the strategies and policies that have been successful. We said that networking is all those elements that work in interaction. They function as interaction. And you can give us, even where we are now, anyone who wants to success, they work in networks, because we've said, for example, a river, so that a river can function, there's a small stream that comes from somewhere and gets into the river, and the river continues like that until it goes into a bigger river, and there's a bigger river now that goes into the ocean. So it's all that we call a network that works in interaction. And the interactions help us to have positive results. And take the example of Congo Brazzaville. Today, we have what we call clusters. Those who are in agro-processing, they have come up in clusters and they have benefited from projects there. Some have cold rooms because some of them are in agro-processing. So they have these cold rooms where they can store fruits so that they can preserve them there. And in this sense, they came up together, but what brought them together, it's the cold rooms, because they come and put the fruits there, and it allows them to put them there, and everyone can work on their production, and they just come and take the fruits when they need them to go and process them. So the networking is something which is very useful for them. It's PROPAC, which is the network of network, and Sino Congo is its member. So within a network, there's always someone or something that governs. And when you do it, it is for the well-being of the others. So if others, the success, and you have impact on your work, if you have any experience where you've been successful with the networking, we would like to listen to you. So let's move fast. Anyone who would want to speak, you have the floor. I'm talking about when you talk of the success stories in terms of networking, and we're going to talk about the successful stories in terms of strategies, in terms of policies. Maybe in your case, you have examples of a story where there was success. We are here to exchange, so we're giving the floor to everyone, and we want to have an interactive session. No. No. Okay, Judith.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yes, I want to give an example of the importance of networking, and I'll give it from a point of view of the networking that can lead to achieving good results with different partners within an organization. For example, there is one farmer organization that we helped build a team of partners, multi-stakeholder partners, to work together. And when the multi-stakeholder partners were brought together, we can give an example of partners within the dairy value chain, where we brought on board the researchers. We also brought on board the breeders, the financiers, and the marketers. And we selected identified women and youth to build their capacities using all these partners. And it has become a very powerful tool of networking, because we've organized trainings for the women and youth, where each and every partner brings on board their areas of competencies. Like the researchers, they bring on board aspects to do with how to increase milk productivity through better feeding methods to the animals. Before bringing the partners together to do the network, the farmers used only 2 types of crops to feed the animals, namely the napier grass and the maize stalks. And after bringing in the researcher brought on board improved fodder crops and a recommendation of seeds for fodder crops. And therefore now farmers have a big variety from which they can feed their animals, courtesy of the network. And these additional fodder crops are like desmodium, Rusan, improved sweet potato vines, also tree Rusan, and veg. And when intercropping was done and the animals were fed on this, there was a marked improvement on the milk production. Partners that were linked with the farmers are the financial institution, where the farmers were trained on how to keep records, how to know whether their business is making profit, and how to get also access to credit. And following that, the farmers now are engaged in agriculture. Subsistence, but also for commercial. The stakeholder with the breeding was able to help the farmers to identify the right kind of seed to give to the animals. And you know, when the right kind of seed is given to the animal is able to produce more stocks, which are which are able to give high yields in terms of the milk. And those are just a few examples of the power of networking, not only farmers to farmers, but farmers with other service providers who can lead to economic improvement and also lead to increased incomes and improved livelihoods. That's the example I can give. Thank you. Over to you, Paul.
Thank you, Judith, for the example that you have given us. We would like to thank you from what you have been doing on networking. And you have said that you also involved researchers. And so the researchers came with their knowledge so that they could pass on the information on crops. That is, crops that you could actually, you have talked about intercropping so that you produce better milk, more milk. And so you have also talked about training farmers. And so this is important for farmers, and so that they can actually achieve their objectives, and that is a good thing. And all that you have said on networking, and so we have actually learned a lot from you. If there is any other person who would like to take the floor to tell us their experience. So we are talking about the success in networking, and the presentation of Judy is actually an example of the impact of having networking. And so the floor is to anyone who would like to give us their example. Maybe there is someone who would like to show us what has happened where they have done networking. And Judith has actually given us a good example of networking. And so networking is very important. And so you can also involve researchers in the network. And so what can the network do? Because we are all a network. We have PAFO and we have PROPAC. And so what we are seeing is that in our respective organizations, we are in networks. And so what is the positive impact of networking? And so you can have the floor to tell us something about it. So networking is something that is important, because I can give an example in Propac. And so in 2018, we had a training or a workshop on cassava. And so this workshop allowed us to involve all the people who are working in this value chain. And so this gave more. And so those who are in processing cassava, some did not know the techniques so that they can conserve better, and also to conserve cassava. And so that these so that it doesn't get destroyed. And so we were invited to Yaoundé, and when those from Cameroon, the farmer organizations from Cameroon, when they presented, they showed us a technique which is called state. You can actually put the cassava in a pot, and so you can actually cut them and put it in there. And so there are bacteria that are that are good. And so we appreciated. We did not have networking initially. And so once everybody went back, they already knew the technique. And so they also showed the others in our countries. And so the networking is important. And so you can actually show us the impact of networking, a positive impact. When you see negative impact, you can also show us. And that is why we are here. It is actually the floor is given to all of us to say something about the impact of networking, whether positive or negative. And so we would like that we need to give our examples. So what are the lessons that you have learned from these examples of networking? We usually have positive things where we can learn on networking. And so we need to consider the network, what happens in our own networks. Networking is something that is extraordinary. And so it is actually at the heart of everything, because we are interacting, because we cannot work in isolation. And so our organization is actually a network. So everything works around interaction and networking. And so what is networking doing for us? And this is what we are saying, as we are calling impact, as Judith has said. And so I'm actually encouraging you, because we are left with a few minutes to do this, so that you can give us feedback from your end. So good morning, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I am Elizabeth Antagana. I am actually talking in terms of Sinocam on the importance of networking. Networking is very important from the local level. And so, because this allows us to make visible farmer organizations, and also to make sure that the role of these organizations is visible. And also at the national level, the networking, first of all, internally as farmer organization, allows us to have a better position for farmer organizations as a partner or a key actor in front of the public domain. So this helps in influencing policies in terms of developing policies and also coming up with strategies and also developing. And so the position that we have in steering committees in projects and programs so that they take into account the concerns of the beneficiaries in the project. And so this is at the political part. And so on the technical part, PROPAC has has come up with networks on research because it is important, which has as objectives to take into account the problems for the problems among farmers, and so that research is based on the real needs of the community. And so today we are working on agroecology. And SENOP, for example, has actually come up with a network for research, training centers, farmer organizations who are beneficiaries, and also the public sector, so that together they can find solutions which would have an impact in the local level in Cameroon. And so we have actually have a multi-stakeholder committee, which has members who are diverse, NGOs, farmer organizations, and also decentralized units, and also the sectors, the ministries, so that they can work in synergies on the issues of sustainable food systems and also policies linked to food systems, and also on climate change, among others, which have an impact on farmer organizations. And so I would like to also say that networking it could actually have negative impacts in terms of leadership when there is lack of knowledge. This is to say that if members of the network do not know their own roles, it means that they have to know the roles they have to play within the network, and so that everybody can play their role, so that they can play their role and to have this complementarity with the others in the network, so that we can have an impact that is positive for for all the members, not only for one member, but for all the members in the network. And so that I could continue later on, but I would like to stop there. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, President, for the response that you have given us. That is very important. And so the floor is still open to whoever would like to say something. Yes, we can hear you. I could actually come back to say that the capacity to negotiate today we are working with ROPA. We are also working with EF, we are working with Sakau and Umnagri and PROPAC. And this is networking that has allowed us to have a better position of farmer organizations. And this is through PAFO that is in front of partners like European Union. And so we have become an important partner who are called upon. And so this is because we have not gone in a dispersed manner, but we are in solidarity as an organization. And so this strengthens our capacity to negotiate. And as I had already said, we need to have the goodwill and also technical capacities to manage the networks, because people should be trained so that each one of us is able to play their role as expected. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much, President, for the example. And the economic level, this helps us to put in common the funds, maybe savings, so that we can have capacity to negotiate with financial institutions And so this also allows us to better sell our products in the market, that is to access markets, so that the farmers are able to get a fair price when you do group selling in bulk. And so networking can actually be taken into consideration in political domain, social, economic. And so I think that it is something that is fundamental in farming for farmers. So thank you very much, President, for your participation, because this has actually helped us in the knowledge. And we thank you for the example you have given us, that networking helps us to better sell our products. And you have given an example of selling in bulk, because that is a good thing. Do we have other people who would like to take the floor so that they can give us their examples or more clarifications? Yes? Hello? Yes, you have the floor. And so I think that because there is nobody taking the floor, I would like to add that networking is a word that helps us, but traditionally for us, we
le fagot de bois. Et je pense que
do much. And so in Africa, in all countries, we have this type of saying that shows us that it is important that people come together so that they can discuss together on concerns that they have, so that they are able to get the results that they wanted to get. And so I think that we need to strengthen this even among the youth, so that the youth can work with the family at the level with the neighbors, even up to the national level and regional level and continental level, and even at an international level. So thank you very much for your contribution once again. And so we are going to give the floor to Mohamed. Thank you. I would like to thank Madam President for what she has said, because that is very important, and you have actually talked about the advantages of networking. And so I would like to add something small. For me, networking is a factor that is important for organizations, and so and also for the members, because without networking, we are not able to communicate information among ourselves, among members. We are not even able to exchange experiences, and we can do nothing without networking. And so networking is definitely not only interaction, professional interaction, but it is a way of learning. It is also a way of transferring knowledge through collaboration, and that is among the different members. And so networking is very, very important. And for example, I would like to give you the case that we have in an organization in Morocco. And so it is through networking that we are able to have exchanges among ourselves between the administration, and so that we can determine the prices of seeds, and also to negotiate contracts, insurance contracts with providers. And so networking allows us also to have exchanges, not only the meteorological information, so that we could actually know when to do activities, that is to cultivate, and also on phytosanitary issues. But networking is very important to ensure we develop knowledge among members, and so that they can also exchange their experiences, the prices, so that they get good results among the farmer organizations. Thank you. So thank you, Mohammed. Is there any other person who would like to tell us their experience in terms of the importance of networking for the farmer organizations? So we could say that up to now, what we have noted, according to what each and everyone has said, Madam ATANGANA, myself, Judith, what we can note is that networking for farmer organizations allows us to share knowledge, and also facilitates access to resources, that is human resources, technological resources, and so this helps us to work collectively. And this means that farmer organizations in networks are united so that they can defend their interests. And so at that level, you could actually influence policies, and also promote the development of family agriculture. And also, we could also say that networking has difficulties or challenges, because in Africa we have linguistic diversities and also cultural differences that exist, which could actually make communication difficult among different groups. So we have the linguistic barriers, which we need to take into account whenever we are doing networking. We also have limited access to technology, because in some regions, especially rural areas, the majority of the rural world do not have a limited access to internet and also communication tools. And so these are an obstacle for networking for farmer organizations. Farmer organizations in networks have weak infrastructures, that is in terms of this is in terms of connectivity. And so these actually are obstacles to communication between the different organizations. And so strategically, we need to have efficient networks so that we can encourage collaboration among farmer organizations, so that we can have communication channels that are clear, so that we can share ideas and information. And so we can develop collaboration and also communication among organizations, regional organizations that are members of PAFO, for example. And so we have a platform for strengthening capacities so that we can discuss priority topics. And so this is an example of networking, of what PAFO is doing that could be developed and encouraged. We also, coming up with partnerships that are strategic, And so this allows us to fill in gaps in terms of capacity. And so I do not know, Don, are you with us? Yes, I'm here. I have come back. So I don't know if you are going to take the floor, but you have the floor. And so you have actually done a summary, because all that has been said is the summary that you have just done. And so I think that I have nothing else to add on to what you have said. Yes, Mike. Okay. So Mohammed, you have the floor. And so for me, I have a question. And so we have talked about, so you have not thought about the negative aspects of networking? Maybe a negative experience from colleagues. Yes, Mike, we can hear you. Yes, Mohammed, that is why I was saying that networking usually has difficulties. And while as we are waiting for participants to share their experiences in their networkings, we could actually say that in order to have efficient networking, we need to evaluate. It is important to evaluate the the organizations. And so these should be done in a specific way so that you know what are you looking for by putting in place this network, and also have specific objectives for networking. You need to define what you are going to do. And so that is the work we do. And also we have evaluation. So every time that we are in a network, it is important to look at why are we together, so that we can actually adjust the strategy for networking. And so you have to look at the challenges.
So one of the challenges is the technical and financial challenges that make it difficult to do networking. There's also the linguistic barriers that can interfere with communication between farm organizations. There's also the issue of infrastructure. We know, for example, that connectivity is very weak in rural settings, the internet connection, which is not, it doesn't help. And I don't know whether I've answered to Mohammed's question. If someone can say something on this issue, the challenges and the difficulties that we meet when we are forming the network, so you can take the floor. Thank you. So Judith, you have the floor.
Yeah, one of the challenges that I've seen in the issue of networking is the importance of the partners in the networks to understand their roles, because you find where there is no common understanding of why people come together, some partners have different expectations from the network, from the partnership. And therefore, when their expectations are not met, then it means they kind of want to pull out of the partnership. And as President Elizabeth talked about the importance of knowing the roles of each and every partner, that is one of the things one can do to mitigate against the dropout of partners. Identifying common roles and stipulating the roles in writing, kind of you have an agreement of the partnership roles so that each will play his or her own role without jeopardizing the successes and the impact of networking. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Judith. Don, you're the. I'm giving you the floor. Yes, thank you, Mike, for giving me the mic. I am really flattered by the response from Madam Judith. She's actually saying what the president was saying, that everyone must know their role, so that we do not make it difficult for the network to work, and we have common understanding. We must achieve our expectations, the expectations that we agreed on from the beginning, and the identification of roles. We know who is going to play which role, and this is better written. And everyone must play their role without going against the wishes of the group in terms of achieving success. So this is very fundamental when it comes to the working of a network. You must have a common understanding. The president gave a saying, the African saying, that one hand cannot kill, so you must work with the two hands. You must be strong in what we are doing, and you don't work with your mouth. If your mouth says this but you do the opposite, you must make sure that you work with your heart, with the love, in harmony with the others, in a manner that will help us to achieve our objectives. Thank you. Thank you. So because there is no other reaction, I think we go to the next session. And I think for the few minutes that we just had, we've talked about the impact of networking for farm organizations, and each of the speakers, they have given us concrete cases of success in terms of networking. And we have even come back to our discussions on the way of how we can strategically use networking to make our farm organizations work, and to have agricultural policies, and also to develop the agricultural sector in the rural settings. And now I think we're going to have a presentation on the specific format of the digital tools which can be used for networking, and this will help us to analyze these the possibilities of having an efficient networking, and know how the digital tools, what they can bring to the networking, how can they can help us set up the networking structure. So this is a presentation that will be done by myself on PowerPoint. I'm going to share screen. I wanted to ask if everyone has access to my screen. Can you see my screen? Okay. Now we're going to talk about the importance of the specific formats for digital tools that can be used for networking among farm organizations in Africa. And we have some of the formats that we should know so that we can make use of these digital tools. And we have just seen together which are the challenges for farm organizations and for them to be able to work together, the difficulties that they go through. The first one is limited resources. That is a lack of access to resources like seeds, quality seeds, etc. This is one of the challenges that farmers and experience when they want to work in networks. There's also climate change. Know that this has a direct impact on productivity. Can you please share the entire screen if it's possible, so that we can see? Okay. All right. So we have climate change, which has an impact on productivity of the farm organizations. We also have some technologies which are limited in terms of access, and they're useful to farm organizations. In terms of specific formats that we need for networking, we need webinars, which are interactive platforms that enable us to share the knowledge, best practices among farmers, like we are doing right now. We also have online forums, which are an efficient way to ensure sharing information on opportunities, on challenges that farm organizations experience. Also, we have discussion groups. You can do this on WhatsApp, for example. You can have those virtual discussions enabling you to collaborate, to share experiences between the different organizations. Now, the key digital tools which can enable you to have distance, to meet virtually, and to be able to, without being required to move. Now, this means you can store your data on the cloud. You can document there, and share information between the organizations. We also have online forums, which will enable us to have the discussions online. We also have knowledge sharing, which will enable us in the platforms to share our knowledges, which has been initiated by PAF, for example, and this enables us to share experiences, knowledge between the different organizations, the farmer organizations. We have also seen there's also the exchange of experiences. This enables us to build capacities of farm organizations. And this one, we can actually do it using Zoom. Success. We have the use of digital tools. We know that it has an impact, a positive impact on productivity and on the sustainability of farm organizations. In terms of impact, we can also mention about the improvement in productivity, meaning that networking by using digital tools should put in place, should enable us to have important improvement in terms of agricultural productivity. We know that, for example, if you use tools to determine weather, to find out how the weather is going to behave, we'll know at what point you should plant, which is the best moment to plant your seeds. So these tools also help us to be sustainable. It means that in terms of agricultural activities, you can share agricultural practices between farm organizations, which would be there so that they can talk about, can see how to improve the sustainability of the organizations. We are also able to share resources. This is efficient resource sharing for farm organization. This is an impact, a positive impact for networking, even for the farm organization. There is also some obstacles that we have to deal with when we are forming our networks and when we are using these digital tools. The first one is a limited connectivity, that is internet access. We know that rural settings are very affected by lack of connectivity, and this makes it difficult, often difficult to communicate between ourselves as farm organization. We also have the use of insufficient for trainings or information. Sometimes you don't even know how to use certain tools. So when we don't have sufficient knowledge, it's a problem. There's also linguistic obstacles. We know that linguistic diversity in Africa makes it difficult to communicate. If you take, for example, the case of Central Africa, you have Spanish, you have Portuguese, you have English, you have French. And often when farmers from these areas, these linguistic regions come, you must find interpreters, and this sometimes increases the costs. And sometimes farm organizations do not even have these means for that. Now, in terms of using tools for networking, we have talked about the future, and the future is promising. In terms of opportunities, we have seen that the opportunities are increasing, and these specific digital tools are showing that we have a future in terms of using them. We should also have a continuous commitment in adopting and adapting these new technologies, and this is key to ensuring the long-term success for our farm organizations. And also there's also the overall collaboration, that is at the international level. We are able to collaborate in sharing in knowledge. And this has an important role in the networking for farm organizations. Thank you very much for having listened to me. I now give you the opportunity. If you have any questions, I can answer them. Thank you. So if you want to take the floor, just raise your hand and we'll give you the floor, or you can, someone wants to speak. say something about the presentation which you've just listened, you can take the floor. Thank you. Mike, the president wants to say something. Yes, Madam President. You can take the floor. Okay. Hello, Mr. Mike. I am with Madam President. Yes, Madam Abati, you have the floor. Thank you. I would want to congratulate you on your presentation. It was well done and it was detailed. We would wish to have this document by email. You can share it by email. Now, I would want to say that as an advantage, we can talk about the new the emerging trends in organizing our farmers. That is what I wanted to mention. That will enable us to know, we'll be able to have visibility with the network. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Apadi. That is someone else would want to say something. So I think Madam Apadi, the digital tools, it enables us to see the emerging trends in the market. It also helps us to know what is emerging in terms of climate. So that's what some of the advantages that she wanted to mention in terms of the use of the digital tools. The tool is a tool for networking that farmer organizations in the continent adopted. Yeah, someone else would want to say something? Or is there someone who would want to share their experience on these tools in terms of networking? Hello. Hello. This session was meant to be interactive, and every participant is a moderator, is a speaker. We are many participating in this session, and we would want to hear the experiences that you've had, especially in terms of using the digital tools for networking, and that's why your contribution is important for other organizations, other network. Others can build on your experience, and we can also talk about the use of the digital, whether it's at the local, national, or regional level. So we'll give you the floor for your contribution. We will welcome it. Thank you. INSAF, thank you. So for us at PAFO, at the continental level, so I would say that the use of digital tools, especially the social networks and PAFO website, have really contributed in putting PAFO in relationship, in links with the new partners. Thanks to these tools, digital tools, just the fact of sharing and communicating what we are doing and talking about the strength of PAFO, what PAFO is doing, the fact that we have used social networks, we have been in a link with new partners. It has also helped the president of PAFO and the CEO to be directly contacted through the website, because we have the email addresses of these networks by new partners who would want to participate in important events regarding the sector in which we are working. This has enabled PAFO to widen its partnership and to improve on its visibility and to contribute in doing its advocacy work and within the new path. Thank you. Thank you. INSAF has just shared the experience of PAFO, which is the continental network of farm organizations. So she's sharing her experience in terms of using the digital tools, especially the social networks, has helped them to improve on their visibility, PAFO's visibility. And this platform, which benefits from the support from the international institution. This is one of the platforms that we are mentioning, that the networking and the use of the digital tools has made us realize that it is very important to network. If you talk about PROPAC, for example, just to contribute, just to add something to what INSAF said, who was speaking from the continental level, I can talk about the experience of PROPAC within the regional level in Central Africa. The use of digital tools. I'll talk about the website and others. But the WhatsApp forum within PAC has enabled us today leadership to the technical people of the organization to share photos and the activities that have taken place within the country. We have images, videos of what farmers have been able to achieve within the countries, and these photos or videos come with some comments that tell us is the activity that is a priority for us, and when did this activity take place. And here we have an example of using the digital tools, and it helps the networks to collaborate within this platform. What farmers share information on diseases, climate change, and other things that are happening within the countries. It also helps the others to put in place measures that can be put into place. Please have your hand still up. Do you want to speak again? No. I forgot to lower my hand. So, is there someone else who would want to share their contribution on the use of the digital tools? What is what is the feeling that you have that did it go well? Does the use of these tools enable you to develop, or which are the difficulties that you have encountered when you use these tools? Is it always easy? Is it that we only have advantages when you use the digital tools? Are there some disadvantages within our networks? Otherwise, which are these difficulties for the difficulties that you've encountered? Tell us about your experiences. Share your experiences with us, with the members of the platform, that you can contribute to this theme, this topic. Yes, Madam President, you have the floor. Madam Abati, I would want to talk about the difficulties in terms of using the tools for farm organization. Most of the farm organizations that we have are in the rural setting, who are now subjected to network problems in communication. The state of the roads doesn't help us when we want to travel to certain places. And then we also have the challenges with the network on top of the infrastructure. And this, so we need sufficient material so that we can accomplish our mission. And that's why we are on the ground. I would also wish that additionally that it would be necessary during projected programs to form leaders in farm organizations in terms of communication so that they can actually be able to make their activities visible. So it would be good to train farm organization leaders so that you can take advantage of their activities on the ground. I also observed that the digital tools enables us to get out of our boxes, because when you are not informed, you are not in touch with others. So the network helps us to grow the agricultural sectors, and especially with the youth, because the youth are most of the time high in numbers in terms of the ones using the digital tools. So you can also use this to increase the number of youth who get into agriculture, because it will be a good thing with the digital tools, that they can become more visible in terms of the work that they're carrying out. So for me, it's good to build capacities in these context in terms of communication, visibility. That's what I wanted to mention. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mabati. Now we give the floor to Bila. Bila, you have the floor. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. I think Madam President has already said part of what I wanted to say. in terms of the difficulties in using the digital tools with our members. Most of the time, we have a WhatsApp platform. We have the website of our platform, which enables us to present all the activities that we have. And the WhatsApp platform also enables us to have the participation of technicians, put photos, reports, photos that we have taken, just to have information in real time. And the difficulties are related to the lack of internet network, and this makes it difficult for us to share the information on the different WhatsApp platforms. Like when you want to share very important information, you will actually only see that you have shared the information, but after the event. So I think it is important to ensure that the people who are going to involved for the activity are informed in good time, so that they can present themselves at the time when you need them. So this is one of the difficulties that we see when it comes to use the digital tools in our platform and in our networks. Thank you.
So thank you very much, Bila. So I'm going to give the floor. So thank you, Mike. And so we have done sessions for sharing, and this is actually positive, what we are discussing on the tools, digital tools, and also using the websites in general. And so internet and also the digital world has allowed farmers to reduce the vulnerabilities. And first of all, and that is the first thing. Oops, there is interruption. What is that? And we also have the technological innovation has helped farmers to use softwares that are innovative. And so to determine, for example, how to go about their agricultural activities. And so this is determined by people. Oops, it's not very clear. And so that is the usefulness of internet in rural areas. And the other thing again is this allows farmers to reduce, as you would say, some aspects like that is the treatment of animals. And so thank you very much. So thank you very much, Mohammed. Is there any other person who would like to have the floor? Is there any other person who would like to react concerning this topic that we are discussing? If no, so we would like to note this topic. And so Madame talked about the use of these tools, which strengthens the visibility of farmer organizations. And she also said that it is important to strengthen the capacities of farmer organizations in the use of these tools. And also the farmer organizations and also the technicians and also the leaders of the organization should actually possess the necessary competencies in order to use these tools. We also have Bila, who has shared with us the use of WhatsApp and how WhatsApp facilitates the flow of information, that is reports, activities, photos, videos, and the others. And also the idea that the difficulties that they have is actually access to connection, because sometimes these, or in some areas, the network does not exist. And so in order to overcome this challenge, sometimes when they send messages, these it comes very late. And so that's why they need to to do a reminder by GSM and also by SMS, the person who was to get the message. And so so the use of drones in Sealo, these are contributions that we are seeing in this particular topic, that is on the use of digital tools in networking, and especially effective networking. And so I'd like to give the floor now to Don, who is going to take us through the group session. And so Don, the floor is yours. And so the floor is yours, Don, for the group work session. So thank you very much, Mike, for the good presentation. And also thank you for giving me the floor. And so very quickly, we are going to go to our groups. And so we have the collaborative workshops, and that is we are going to have two groups, the Francophone group and also the Anglophone group. And so we also have questions or topics that you are going to discuss in the groups. And so you need to select a rapporteur. And so when we come back for plenary, to that. And so before going to the breakout rooms, we have two questions. The first question is the challenges of networking farmer organizations, and also the second one, strategies for collaborations among farmer organizations. And so you're going to present during plenary. And so the summary of the presentation will be done, and also lessons learned. And so Zuberi can actually now guide us into our breakout rooms. Thank you very much. Paul, maybe you can write the questions in chat, eh? Yes, I'm going to write them there. Okay, this has been done, eh? Thank you, Mike. And so for those who would like to go to the Francophone group, you go there, and also the English speakers can go to the Anglophone group. Thank you very much. And so for me, I'm going to join the groups.
Merci, Insaf. Je vais repasser la parole à Don Céleste pour qu'il poursuive la session des travaux de groupe. Don, tu as la parole.
Oui, merci Mike. Merci de m'avoir accordé la parole. Nous sommes sortis dans nos breakout rooms et nous avons répondu à des questions, les défis obstacles de mise en réseau des organisations paysannes, la stratégie de collaboration entre les organisations paysannes. Et cette restitution se fera en plénière. Nous avons deux groupes, le groupe anglophone et le groupe francophone. Nous demandons au groupe francophone
So we ask
de commencer
the
et
Francophone
ensuite
group
le
to
groupe
start,
anglophone.
and then we'll have the English-speaking group coming second.
Le groupe francophone, le rapporteur peut se présenter?
The Francophone group, can the reporter, yes, the rapporteur for the group. Yes, let me share my screen. Can I start? Yes. You can start. Thank you. We were working on two questions. The first question was about the challenges and obstacles to networking. So we listed quite a number of challenges here, and we have the difficulties of accessing internet network. There are some areas, some regions where there is a problem in terms of accessing internet. There's also the issue of where the access in terms of smartphones, tools like smartphones, computers, that can also be a challenge so that you use the networking. There's also the weak capacities for using these communication tools for farmers. It's true that today we are more into the use of the digital tools, but this doesn't always come with the training so that our farmers are able to know how to use the tools and use them appropriately. There's also the weak capacities in terms of our leaders within the OPs to fight for the rights of farmers. So sometimes there's some lack of confidence, lack of trust, and it is a real block for networking. There's also the issue of the different languages that we use, which can also be a challenge to networking. That you have a francophone, anglophone networks, and this is also a challenge in terms of putting in place networking for our farm organization. There's also the weak capacities in terms of mobilizing resources. To be a network, we need this. We need the farm organizations, but we need the resources that we are able to ensure that the networks are working. The last thing that we noted is, and what is conflict between farmer leaders. Sometimes as I was just saying, that there's sometimes competition, there's the conflict, and sometimes it's the interests that are not the same. The other point is about the strategy for collaboration between farm organizations, and which are the strategies that we thought about. So I think we need to compare the different needs of the farm organizations and also come up with an implementation plan for the different services that we offer our members. Also to define our roles and responsibilities for each party in the terms of putting this network into place. And so that everyone can feel that they've been educated on the process of the implementation and network activities. And finally, we have said that we should have monitoring for the different activities that we put in place so that we can implement the networking. So now that is the report of the work from our group. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Bella, for your presentation. Thank you very much for your work, for the work that you've. Clear the important points. Now we go to the English group. I give the floor to Judith. Judith, you have the floor.
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to contribute towards the two focus areas. Number one is challenges and obstacles of farmer organization in being able to network. And the first challenge that our group saw is that the different farmer organizations in the region have no common vision which they want to work with. And it is very important to identify the kind of vision that we should work towards in terms of networking. For example, we could identify two or more farmer organizations would identify inter-regional trade as a common vision and work towards that until they achieve the goal. And then not having a common vision leads to not being aware of the stakeholders who can support in the achievement of the objectives. Because for every vision, there are stakeholders who would participate in the networking. And therefore, because of that, then it leads to becoming a challenge and an obstacle to achieving the regional networking. Then we have inadequate resources to mobilize each other digitally and otherwise to achieve the networking. The other one is language barrier, because we have two common languages among the farmer organizations, that is English and French. And this is a barrier that has solutions too. Then collaboration strategies that we are proposing is
go ahead. Excuse me.
To have workshops between farmer organizations with a common vision. That one would be able now to enable the farm organizations to strategize, to have a vision, and to know who the stakeholders would be, and to work towards the milestones within the proposed time frame. And I think this is a challenge that we need to, it's a proposal. We need to have financials so that at least we can start effective networking to benefit our farmers in the various regions. Then the other thing, exchange visits is very powerful. Moving one farmer organization to another region, you learn a lot from seeing. Then finally, the other proposal is capacity building on areas of common interest. If the area of common interest is trade, then there are so many policies governing each country that would create an opportunity to learn about the regional trade, to learn about the barriers of regional trade, to learn about the benefit we can achieve through regional trade. That is just an example. Over to you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Judith, with your exposition. I'm very happy to understand that. Et donc, je dirais merci beaucoup à Judith pour ton exposé.
Thank you very much for Judith for the presentation. I'm very happy. We're happy to having listened to you for the points that you shared with us. You saying that we should have for the questions that we have been asked, we should have a vision, and the shared vision. We should also have work together. We also talked about the need to build capacities within the regions, and especially where also you also spoke about, give the example of how we were working and the farm organizations don't PROPAC and others, we should have the same vision so that we can achieve our objectives. So that in general is what you are presenting. So now I also wish to congratulate you, and also I thank the Francophone group for the work that they were able to achieve and shared with us. Now for the questions that were shared and the challenges in terms of putting in place a network, you talked about difficulties of accessing internet, the limited access to tools for communication, like smartphones and computers. There's also the lack of building capacities for farmers, lack of use of appropriate tools for communication, lack of the tools that are required for farmers, and the interest, and also the lack of trust between
de communication, comme tu dis aussi.
organizations, the different languages used for communication. So the language of communication is really a challenge, and it shouldn't be a challenge, it should be an obstacle. And that's why we have different languages. We should be able to understand, even if it means that we speak using signs, it should still be a possibility. So these are the different the weaknesses that we have in terms of mobilizing resources. There are also conflicts between the farmer leaders. The other point we also spoke about strategies for collaboration between farm organizations, ensuring that we have the commonalities in terms of comparing our needs and which are the different services that we can offer to our members, and also we elaborate a plan that there is in this service for the implementation, so that we should at least offer service to members, and also make sure that we define the roles of each and every actor within the network. That's how the president, Madam ATANGANA, said during her speech that everyone should know their role, and also to ensure that this monitoring of activities that are meant to facilitate the network. So thank you very much for your work. Now I give back to the floor to Mike ATANGANA.
Merci à toi, Don Celeste Mingole.
Thank you, Don Celeste. So that's the end of our session. And I wish to say thank you to all the participants. Thank you for the quality of your contributions. In a general manner, we saw that if we need to put in place networking, we really need to do it properly so that we can help our farmers to grow. We should have a partnership, solid partnerships between the different entities which have similar interests. And it is also a process that farm organizations are able to share their experiences, their knowledge, by having their influence and in a collective manner, which will enable them to increase their visibility. The networking also helps us to share expertise and also to have similar strategies so that we can achieve our shared objectives. And you also shared with us the experiences that you have from the networking that you have done. We have talked about registration that is necessary so that we can have strategic networking. Some organizations have been able to work in terms of having laws that will make agriculture easy. For example, access to land for women. And we have also seen how we've been able to create international partnerships. Farmers are also able to have access to financing. And we have also seen you shared your contributions on the impact in terms of the networking by using digital tools. In the case of the communities, which have an important impact in terms of you also said that before you put replace the proper networking, you should assess your need in a specific way. There is also, you must establish clear objectives that you want to achieve. So you should do it in a clear way, define the objectives of the networking, and come up with a roadmap. Finish, you need to do periodic assessment. When you're in a network, you should be able to adjust your strategies on the basis of the challenges and the results that you have encountered during the process of networking. But before finishing, I am going to ask Zuberi to give you the survey so that you can assess as a feedback on how the session went, your opinion on the session. You respond to the survey again for your participation in this session, which is the last session of the 3 sessions that were being run by Propac. I thank my colleague, Don Saleh, wasn't with us today, unfortunately, because he had issues with the connectivity. And I'll give the floor to Insaf to close. Thank you, Insaf, you have the floor.
Pour la clôture, je dirais merci.
For the closure, I would say thank you for these three sessions.
Et je dirais merci à tous ceux qui
This session, and I will say thank you to all who participated in the meeting. And I hope that we'll be able to see in the next meeting that we'll have. We're going to be monthly meetings from this last one. So the next one will be 25th April, and we'll talk about strategy and business planning. We'll tell you about it, and we'll send you the link so that you can register. And before you leave, I request you to open your camera so that we can take a group photo.
Anaïs, s'il vous plaît. Kevin.
Anaïs, Kevin.
Gisèle, vos caméras, s'il vous plaît.
Giselle, your cameras, please, so that we take a photo.
Mais ça va sans me voir. Je vois personne. Je me vois seulement.
Celui qui n'a pas ouvert sa caméra, s'il vous plaît.
Who hasn't opened their camera, please open your camera for the photo.
Merci.
Thank you.